Thank you. Every single night, regardless of our age, our race, our creed, or our gender, we participate in one of the most mysterious and universal human experiences. We dream. But what do we know about this strange nighttime occurrence? Science shows that we dream for about 4 to 5 times a night, for about 2 hours each night, totaling for about 6 hours of our lives. And while there's many theories today on why we dream and what dreams are, we still don't know what dreams are and why we have them. So some theories suggest that our brains are like computers, that dreams consolidate our memories and they help us organize our thoughts so that we can help process more information the next day. Another theory suggests that it's about future rehearsal, that dreams are a safe place for us to make connections between different thoughts and emotions, and a safe place for us to practice and test out certain scenarios. And then another, probably the most popular theory is called the activation synthesis model, and it was introduced to us in 1977 by researchers Alan Hobson and Robert McCarley, and essentially states that our dreams are a reaction to biological processes that happen while we sleep. Essentially, they're saying that our dreams are the byproduct of random neural firings that our frontal lobe tries to incorporate into some sort of narrative. So it's, in a way, this is why I think how we say why dreams are so strange and why we teach our children that they're just dreams. But history teaches us something else. To the Australian Aborigines and many shamanic and indigenous cultures throughout the world, dreams were thought to take place on a separate reality that existed parallel to and overlapping this reality, this physical one. So rather than dreams being these private, separate experiences happening only in your mind, dreams were thought to take place on a shared and collective reality, a timeless and infinite place that they called dream time. So I'm not here to tell you what dreams are or why we have them. That's not my role to play. But I can tell you from my own personal journey that dreams are powerful and transformative experiences. In the 2 hours in which we dream every night, we can find insight, guidance, clarity, even self-discovery. But more than that, dreams can show us a bigger picture of who we are and remind us that we are the dreamers of our lives, both in waking and in sleep. So when I was a teenager, I would carry around a totem in my pocket. And this item took many forms over the years. At one point, it was a 50-cent plastic monkey. At another time, it was a 9mm bullet that I found. And then later, it was this compass. And what it was, it didn't matter. It was really, every time I saw it, I was supposed to stop and ask myself this seemingly strange question: am I dreaming? And I wasn't just an awkward teenager with too much time on his hands. I was training myself to become a lucid dreamer. And the idea was simple. If I continuously asked myself in my waking state, am I dreaming? That same habit will carry over into my dreams. Soon I'll find myself dreaming, and I'll ask myself, am I dreaming? Yes, I am. The first time, or one of the first times it happened, I remember I was standing in my room, and it was dark, and I remember standing up, and I was like, did I get up to go to the bathroom? And I couldn't remember, so I just tested. I was like, maybe I'm dreaming. And I jumped up, and I floated to the ceiling, and my hands went through the roof. Jackpot. I was in, I thought. But for those who don't know, what is a lucid dream? So a lucid dream is a dream in which you know you're dreaming. So you're asleep, but you have waking awareness in the dream state. So normally when we wake up in when we wake up in the morning and we recall our dreams, the memories can seem a bit fragmented or foggy or wispy, and often we think that's the dream. And we're mistaken here, because that's not the dream itself. That's just the memory of the dream. Our dreams have a present moment just as rich and vivid as this moment right now. Awakening to that present moment is the key to lucid dreaming. It's that self-reflective realization of, wait a second, I'm in a dream right now in this moment, which feels like. It's what science would prove in the late 1970s and what ancient cultures have been telling us for centuries, that we can be awake in our dreams. So I got really good at lucid dreaming. I was able to induce it, and I was now able to stay in them for longer periods of time. In the beginning, I would only be able to stay there for a couple minutes at most. And I remember being fascinated by how realistic everything felt. You know, when I was flying, I could feel the breeze against my face. I could feel the heat of the sun against my back. When I held an object, I could feel its weight and its texture. I felt what it was like to walk through walls and breathe underwater and barrel roll across moonlit clouds. Those beginning early dreams were very profound for me. But also, just to be honest, those early lucid dreams, I was flying around and having a lot of sex. I mean, what do you think a teenager's doing with infinite possibilities in the landscape of their own psyche? And if the Aborigines and the shamanic cultures were correct and that it does take place in dream time or the spirit world, I have to apologize because I have had sex with a lot of it. So, that just totally pulled me out of it. So then things started to change for me. It was less about fantasy fulfillment for me at this point. I was very curious about how did things work in this dream world. I remember thinking, if I could figure out things here in the dream world, maybe I could find some new insights into my waking life. If I could figure out how I create the dream, maybe I could figure out how I create my reality. Losing my train of thought here. Yeah, so I was fascinated by that. And so I remember thinking there's certain characteristics in the dream world. And one thing that stood out always was that the dream world is alive. Everything in it, every single thing feels alive and rife with a consciousness, as if even the air itself is alive. It's you. So therefore, everything from this tree, or this, whatever that is, and this thing, I can talk to it, I can communicate with it, and I can change it. I remember the greatest advice I ever got was from an oak tree. And I remember it was at a time when I desperately sought its strength and stability, and I asked it, how can I be like you? And it said, build something that will outlast your body. And it showed me what that meant for me in my life. So another thing that occurred to me was that the dream world was responsive, that my thoughts and my emotions would affect the world outside of myself, that these were the active ingredients shaping my experience. So a focused thought could take me anywhere, or a concentrated intention in my dreams could create anything. The dream world was a mirror of me and my inner state. So if I found myself in a very peaceful inner state, I might find myself in a very peaceful dream. If I was full of fear and worry, I might find myself in a nightmare, which we're all very familiar with. And I realized it started getting deeper. I realized that in my nightmares, when I'm running from a nightmare, that there's no escaping it. Wherever I would go, there I was. That I'm the one running, but I'm also the one chasing. I am that nightmare. This is my shadow, and there's no ever escaping it. I realized that the biggest thing that I realized, I'll just get right to the point, and this came to me in a beautiful lucid dream in which I fly. It's a city, and it's night out. And I fly like Magneto. I'm feeling like a badass. I fly like Magneto on top of a rooftop. And I feel awesome, but I'm completely humbled when I look out at what I see. And I see an entire city out in front of me. And I can see it in rich, crystal clear clarity, all the way to the horizon. And I remember thinking, not only am I in this dream, but this dream, all of it, is inside of me. And in that moment, my identity expanded, and I was no longer Thomas, but embraced the entire dream as my extended body. I felt one with it. And I realized that I could change any of it. To change it, my power came from by changing myself. That if I changed my own thoughts, my emotions, my expectations, my beliefs, the dream world would reflect outside of myself. So what does this mean? I don't think these insights are exclusive to the dream world. I think they're meant to be brought here and now into our waking lives. To turn this unconscious dream we call life into a lucid dream, one in which we're actively shaping and creating rather than reacting to or feeling separate from. That at the foundation of all lucidity is being present. That when we're in the present moment of our lives, fear or love, acceptance, forgiveness, enlightenment, we can find it all right here, right now, or not at all. That to be lucid here would be to know that your thoughts and your emotions are actively shaping and creating your reality. And that with awareness, always with awareness comes now choice. And with choice, freedom. We have the freedom to choose our thoughts and to direct our emotions to create our lives. It reminds us that wherever we go, there we are. If we're running from something in life, a responsibility, a situation, or a relationship, we could fly to the other side of the country, but wherever we go, there we will be creating our lives. That we may be the one running, but we're also the one chasing. That thing that we're running from is actually, over and over I've found out when facing these nightmares, it's our power. It's not meant to hurt you. We call them dark, not because they're bad, but because they're unconscious, because we need to give them our light. These parts of our psyche need our acceptance and to be integrated into us. And ultimately, that if we want to change the dream, if we want to change the dream of our life, that there's nothing outside of us. That to change the dream, we must change ourselves. We must make a shift within, change our thoughts, our emotions, again, our expectations, our beliefs. I want to leave you with a very short story, and it's from one of my favorite Native American parables. And it begins with the Creator gathering all of the animals together and says, I want to hide something from humans until they're ready for it. The realization that they create their own reality. Give it to me, I'll fly it to the moon, says the eagle. No, someday soon they'll go there and they'll find it. I'll bury it in the Great Plains, says the buffalo. No, they'll dig and soon find it there as well. How about the bottom of the ocean, asks the salmon. Creator's like, no, just salmon. It was the wise grandmother mole who chimed in next. She said, put it inside of them. The Creator says, done. It is the last place they will look. Thank you.